Welcome back to Ascii DWF channel. Holidays are a slow period here. Many things I ordered are not arriving, so projects are stuck and so on. And so I thought I'll try something different this time. This is a small and quite old by now LCD monitor, which is not working. That was the monitor for my father's PC, and it can still be useful if I can fix it. So let's see what it does. It actually is not even reacting to power button. It's not LED action, but it's actually a good news because it probably is the power supply, which is the easiest thing to repair in this kind of modern electronic appliances. So let's take it apart and see what we find inside. So to take this monitor apart, we first remove this cover, the plastic cover, and unscrew the stand. I guess there are 4 screws. There's 2 on this side and 2 on this side. Then we'll undo all the corner screws, and the back cover should come off. Well, actually there were only 2 screws in these bottom corners, here and here, and all the plastic cover had to be unhooked from the perimeter that has only hooks all along the perimeter, so that needed to be carefully undo the hooks, and the cover comes back finally. And now the power supply is covered in this metal box, which is good for shielding. So we need to remove some of the screws and expose the power supply itself. Now the power supply on this kind of LCD monitors looks very simple. There is a switching power supply, of course. This is the primary side, and this is the flyback transformer and the secondary side. It has 1 or 2 low voltage power rails. Then there are the cold cathode high voltage supply. These are the connection to the lamps that illuminates the back of the LCD. And so this is the high voltage side, but usually the high voltage side fails separately. I mean, if there is no even LED action, probably the primary flyback is short, and we need to investigate why. So we'll remove the cold cathode fluorescent connection, undo the screws that hold this PCB, and take it apart. So my approach when troubleshooting this switching power supply is to first check with no power, of course, all the semiconductors, starting from the bridge rectifier, which is this one in this case, and can be probed from the back of the PCB, these 4 pins. All the diodes that you find scattered in the circuit, one here, one here, and there is also one here. And of course also checking the secondary diodes, which is this GO220 package. And when probing this one, I find a dead short. Of course, it's not easy to understand where a short can be, because in parallel with this diode there are also 2 smoothing capacitors. But if I measure the resistance on the capacitor pins, I get a slightly higher resistance, about 20 milliohms higher than measuring directly on the diode sleds. So I think the short must be in the diode itself. So I'll try to remove it. So I removed the diode, the double diode actually, on this is actually bad, and I'll show you beside a good one that I will be substituting in the power supply. So we find a shorted diode here, that's short in both senses, and there is the other half is still good. I think this Schottky or something like that, but it has low dropout with respect to normal silicon diodes, about 0.3 or even less volts. And if of course if we invert the probes, it doesn't measure anything because it's open circuit. Now if we test this one, which is very similar, of course it's good on both diodes. So let's me replace this one in the power supply and see what happens. So now I installed the new double diode in its place with some new thermal paste, which is always good because this one will get somehow hot. And just put just a screw and reconnected everything so I can test the power supply in place. I don't have an extender for this connector here, so it's better to put it in place and connect the power and see what happens. It's a bit on the edge, but it shouldn't fall down. Connected the power, and the LED is coming on, which is a good sign. Let's see if something happens. Yep, it's telling me no signal in Italian, of course. And yeah, so let me bring some signal to it. I guess it was that, and if it works as expected, yeah, just powered off again because of no signal. Well, if it works, we'll just reassemble it and call it fixed. I don't have many VGA sources at home. This is one of my, well, actually the only backup server that I have at home, so it never gets connected to a monitor. I just entered the BIOS on this PC, otherwise it will stay at the Linux console prompt, which is not very entertaining. Not that BIOS is entertaining, but at least some colors. So the monitor appears to work fine, and you may wonder why that diode failed in the first place, but I don't have a good explanation. It may be just it was time to fail. It's not under design yet there. It is two diodes for 10 amperes each one of the two diodes, so well, it's not easy to fail on a low power like a small LCD monitor. But anyway, it was easy to find, and in a few hours of time it was fixed. It took more to film all the process than the actual troubleshooting, of course. So I hope you enjoyed and you learned something on this easy repair of modern, let's say modern technology. And until next time, thank you for watching.